Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place where every related to Amazon, FBA, private level, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring in our special guest. His name is Manuel Prinz, and he's the co-founder of Keep Converting, which I think actually is a very clever solution out there because we know we are in the era of AI, but more importantly than that is understanding how you can leverage these to give the best experience to your consumers, and that's exactly what they do. They make sure that when somebody lands on your website, essentially they can have the experience that's tailored to who they are as a consumer. And I think for a lot of our listeners, especially those that Amazon sellers that are branching outside of the marketplace and starting to build a presence in D2C, having solutions such as this is more important than ever because you really want to make sure that the experience gets as personalized as it gets, so you can have the highest chance of converting them into one of your clients. So Manuel, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. How you doing?
Vincenzo, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Pleasure. So I'm very excited about today's conversation because I'm sure you're seeing this as well. AI is a topic that everybody's talking about, and from AI, there are so many solutions that are coming up from the perspective of management, operations, software, so many things. And I'm very intrigued about learning more about what you guys do, and also get some of the takes about what you see in the space when it comes to this new way of really changing the experience of how consumers really shop moving forward. So I guess for those that might not know you, just give us a quick introduction about yourself, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Awesome, great, thanks, and hello to the audience.
Mhm.
I have been following along for quite some time, and yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Manuel Prinz. I'm the co-founder of Keep Converting, which is a AI startup in the e-commerce space. We focus on, like you mentioned, creating a website version for every user persona in real time and tailor it to the user that has the highest probability to convert with a specific website version, with the goal to maximize your conversion rates as a e-commerce brand. I'm originally from Germany. I live in California, sunny California, in close to Los Angeles, in Newport Beach. And before that, I worked in the Silicon Valley for multiple tech startups, fintech, Walmart e-commerce, and just recently, 4 years, I was at TikTok Shop, launching TikTok Shop from 0 to 1 in the UK, in the US, and then right now in Europe. So very exciting times. But now I think, and hinting towards what you said, now with the age of AI, it opens a lot of possibilities, and the time was right for me to pursue our vision of how e-commerce is developing. I
Yes.
have throughout my career had so many touch points with e-commerce directly or with multiple brands at TikTok Shop. So the time was right to really take all of these learnings, leverage with AI, and build something very cool, which we believe could be the future of e-commerce and how people shop.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much, Manuel. So I guess let's dive straight into the topic, which is, you know, um, everything you guys are doing. We keep converting. I think I just want to briefly kind of touch on what you see in the space when it comes to this new kind of wave of really trying to figure out how we can use AI to reverse engineer your consumers and personalize the experience that you get. Like, I guess let's start with maybe some case studies or maybe some outcomes you're seeing. Like, how you seeing the adaptation of some businesses, especially e-commerce, when it comes to embedding this new tech? Are you seeing a big uplift because now they're able to give a more personalized experience? Is something that maybe is just very experimental as of now? What are you seeing with the people you're talking?
Yeah, very good question. And look, I think, and everyone knows that, right? So AI can change like every aspect of e-commerce,
Yeah.
whether that's in the value chain generation, logistics, or in the user-facing side. Our application and what I'm most excited about is the user experience, because eventually it's all about the users, right? And if you cannot tailor to the user and make it appealing to whatever you sell or service you provide, if you don't talk to your audience in the right way, it doesn't lead to success at the end of the day. And I think here specifically AI provides a ton of opportunities that we are leveraging and seeing in a way that like personalizes the experience that has never been that we have never been able to do before. If you look at it, right? So whether it's sales channels such as Amazon or TikTok Shop or direct to consumer on your website, the experience has been relatively static, for the past
Mm.
20 plus years. You land on a product detail page, you land on a homepage, you land somewhere on a shopping platform. The experience is mainly very static. Yes, you get some recommended products, and it puts your interest and your previous purchases into it, but it hasn't been like an evolving experience, like based on the user intent, where the user is from, like what the user is actually like looking for. And I think here, if we can combine like different data sources, like let's say direct primary data points from browser information, from like cookies, from pixel information, and we pair that with user intent, where the source of the user is from, right, and the geolocation, device types, and so forth, we can actually have a multi-level data set, which we can feed into our ML model to really learn and figure out what that user actually wants and what type of experience we should render in terms of providing the best experience, the most relevant experience, with the goal for the sellers, because we are working with the e-commerce brands, with the merchants, with the goal for them to increase their conversion rates, their revenue, their AOV, right? And there's multiple solutions out there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
all have their place. What we really
Okay.
took on, and I think that could be relevant regardless of what we do or whatnot. Like everyone in e-commerce has probably been uh, undergoing some sort of e-commerce A/B testing, right? In one shape or form, whether through tools or their own grown tools, and that's essentially what I've done as a product manager on the e-commerce side my whole career. You have
Yeah.
an idea, right? You execute on that idea, you launch it, you look at the data, and then you decide whether that's a winning version. Then you maybe launch it, you iterate it, rinse and repeat. It's a very manual, a very m- time consuming and resource consuming undergoing. So
Yeah.
our idea was like, hey, how can we make this process completely automated, and with some science behind it? So that's like a closed loop, continuously learning, never-ending feedback loop of continuously running A, B, C, D, X tests. So, and
I
that's
love it.
essentially what we do. I keep converting. It wasn't
Cool.
possible before. It wasn't possible until like 2 years ago to technically turn this vision into reality. But now,
Mm.
and going back to your question, that is one aspect of AI that we could fully leverage in order to provide that experience. And I think that's eventually one thing where we will see in the future going forward, that more and more of these like personalized, hyper personalized experience are coming to life in one shape or form, whether that's on a D2C side, whether that's on
Mm.
sales channels, whether that's actually in real life. I think you really need to tailor to the user in a very particular form at the right time, with the right offering, with the right message, with the right infographics, with the
Mhm.
right information that the user wants to see then and there, in order to turn this around, right? I mean, and sorry, I'm like
No, no
I'm
worries.
try to address this from a broader topic. I'm looking at it from an agentic commerce perspective as well, right? I mean, that's another
Mhm.
stream where like the e-commerce space is kind of divided. I'm not sure if that's also a topic that your audience or other folks on your
Yeah.
podcast have been discussing. But I think there's these two worlds where
Love it.
you have the
Yeah.
agentic commerce, but you have that real or virtual commerce where people still want to experience things, that they want to get
Mm,
inspired, whether that's on TikTok, right? Like watching
yeah.
videos through creators, whether browsing, like an actual store or a virtual store. So I
Yeah.
think there's a place for those two experiences, but I think those are the ones that we are really watching very closely and trying to shape as well, actively shape with our
Yeah.
solution.
Cool. So I guess I have a question because something that is very important for all of this is the data. You mentioned that already, and I think sometimes for people trying to implement this, they might ask themselves, okay, but what if I'm a brand that maybe I'm just launching, I might not have enough data, like maybe email list, or I'm coming from Amazon, I don't have really a database. Like, is this something that you could still implement? Even for people starting from scratch, or you need to be a brand that already had some kind of a knowledge base to for AI to build on top of that, you know?
Yeah, really good question. It's actually a question that we get quite a lot. Short answer is like, if you have a GA4, which like Google Analytics, which most of the e-commerce brands do, that's the initial starting point where like our agent solution is taking the information from. So we have multiple like data sources where we pull from initially, and that's all automated on our end, right? There's no like overhead from a merchant perspective. As soon as we have access to GA4, our AI agents, they scrape that information, so we actually get the status quo, right? We see like,
Hmm.
okay, what are your demographics, where are users from, like what do they shop, how much, and so forth, what type of products, so we get like the full picture of what's happening right now. Then like that is the starting point for us. Our system then creates multiple versions, on brand versions of your current experience. So we take all
Mm,
of your brand assets, you scrape your website, you scrape secondary sources from social media, from reviews, through any portals where people talk about your products or services. So we factor all of that in, and then our model creates different versions
mm-hmm.
that can be on brand or deviating from the brand. That depends on the merchant and the flexibility on it. And what the merchant then has to do, and that's the only thing that is required from a merchant, they have to, before the versions go live, they approve
Yeah,
or disapprove it, and then
I
it
see.
enters the live loop.
Okay.
And over time the system learns, right? So initially it's more of like a random distribution.
Yeah.
The
I was gonna
user has,
ask you regarding the timeline. I'm assuming it takes a couple of weeks to really get refined and get better, right? The system.
yes, it depends on the traffic a website has,
Nice.
or like a merchant gets. Usually for our solution to start making it producing incremental value that you can actually visibly see in bottom line conversion rate improvements, and in terms of revenue, is when we get around 10,000 unique user sessions a month to our versions. So that's the starting point. So 10,000 unique user sessions. Below that, the solution would still work, but to your point, it will take like weeks, months of like data until we can actually get learnings that we can then turn around and like
Mm,
improve conversions. If
cool.
you have more
And
than
what?
that, it will obviously
Yeah,
get
of
get
course.
get much.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, for example, when we do projects on Amazon with brands, the more data we can get through the door, the faster we can do optimization with advertising and everything. So the same is here. You have more points to leverage, you know. Which now brings me to my next question, which is the categories, right? Like, I'm assuming that this kind of tech and kind of leveraging AI to personalize the experience will be more impactful for an experience that personalization is important compared to a product that's more a commodity, I'm assuming. So with that said, are you seeing categories where this kind of tech is being more impactful, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. And there is actually categories where our solution is really like a great fit. I mean, it works across a broad spectrum, but for us, it's really like we focus on merchants that have specific categories as a focus group, right? So let's say an
Mm-hmm.
online mall with like thousands of different categories. As our solution could still work and generate incremental value, but if it's too broad in terms of a category spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
it is more difficult. And going back to your initial question, right, with working with the existing traffic to really figure out which like versions, which user segments interact best with which version of the website for a specific category. In this case, we would go, if there's a merchant that has multiple categories, let's say 10 plus, we would
Mm-hmm.
pick specific categories to start with, roll out our solution category by category, because every category attracts maybe different user segments, has different USPs, and specific users interact differently with specific versions of a website on a category basis. But to answer your question, our solution works well with beauty, wellness, consumer electronics, lifestyle, perfumes, for example. So there's really a broad spectrum, but for now we focus on physical goods. So we're not yet into services, subscriptions whatsoever. That maybe at a later stage, as we evolve as a company in our product portfolio. But for now, we are focused on D2C, very category specific merchants in the physical space.
Okay. And I guess the next question I have is regarding also, I guess, the platform where this can be deployed across, right? Because I'm assuming some people watching and listening to this, they might say, okay, but my D2C presence is on Shopify or X provider. So I guess, is this a solution that you need to you could repurpose across different kind of platforms, or is tailored to one specific where you think is working the best? Yeah.
Yeah, good question. It works with all the major e-commerce platforms, so
Nice.
Shopify, Magento, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, WooCommerce, for example. In Shopify, we are just about to release the public app, so you can just go to the Shopify App Store, download, keep converting, and with a couple of clicks, they are basically set up. Because the
Mm-hmm.
main thing for us, and that's the only essential piece of like integration that we would get in this case through the Shopify app, is access to the catalog, because then we get the product information, we get the pricing, any discounts, we get the imaging and everything that comes to it, inventory. So the catalog is the most essential part, and from there everything is done through our solution. Again, merchant just needs to come in and approve or disapprove a version before it goes live, and that's it, and see the numbers go up. That's the goal.
Cool. Now, something I want to bring to the table, because I know you used to work in the past with TikTok as well. So I'm very keen how potentially this could give us some more insights about what is happening in the whole e-commerce space, especially this social commerce. So how you seen, even let's say platforms such as TikTok embracing this? Because I think all of them are also kind of trying to figure out personalization, right, at a certain level in terms of from a shopping perspective. So is there any insights you can share as well when it comes to maybe TikTok? I know a lot of our listeners are really expanding to TikTok, and they're really seeing this as the next kind of venture beyond Amazon, for example. So what can you share when it comes to that as well?
Yeah, and actually, I'm having touch points with merchants running on TikTok Shop, or like having a multi sales channel approach, including TikTok Shop on a daily level. Yeah, so I'm actually very bullish on TikTok Shop, and I think and from what I'm seeing, what's working well, if merchants have a multi sales channel approach, that being Amazon, TikTok Shop, D2C on their website, as one like director or VP of Adidas once said, it's
Mm,
like, we are everywhere where our consumers are. It doesn't
mhm.
matter where, but like we have to be there. And I think that applies to pretty much everyone, being or trying to be successful on e-commerce. Yes, I'm not saying like you should do everything at once and then like not do nothing right. I mean, I don't want to give advice there, but I'm very bullish on TikTok Shop, not necessarily from a revenue generation perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to put a lot of effort as a merchant into TikTok Shop in order to really nail it. Because it offers a huge spectrum, right? From shoppable ads to creators to organic videos that you have to do, and preferably you have to run the full spectrum in order to be successful. I don't think it works if you only do live, if you only run, like organic ads, if you only work with creators. I think the merchants, from what I've seen on a personal level, the ones that are really successful, they cover the full spectrum. And that is not what everyone as an e-commerce brand can necessarily do, right? It requires a lot of resources and investments. Not everyone
Mm-hmm.
can do that in-house. They need to hire external agencies, which has really good ones that really
Yeah.
understand what needs to happen. But to bring it to the point, I see it across the board, TikTok as a demand generation, not
Mm,
necessarily as a sales channel where
yeah.
you can expect profitability from day one. I would not
Exactly.
look at TikTok Shop as that, but to create demand. And I think it is a really effective tool, a better tool than anything else that is out there from a platform or sales channel perspective, to tap into very specific audiences as an e-commerce brand. And I
Yeah.
think keyword audiences, that's where I think is really the hidden strategy, because consumers now, they are like so fragmented, right? And you really need to figure out how to get to different communities or user segments. One part we provide as keep converting with personalizing the experience once the user lands on the website,
Yeah.
on the product detail page. But I think overall you need to look at it very holistically. How do you tap into these communities? And TikTok Shop is an amazing one to do that, because people expect that personalization. They want like some real, people talking about products, presenting it, someone that they follow,
Yeah.
that showcases it. So it gives you that personal touch that I don't think you can necessarily achieve on other sales channels.
Yeah. And I think that's where, of course, solutions like yours keep converting can be the kind of the cherry on top, because then you use TikTok to bring all these audiences that very kind of tailored to what you need, and then you can give them also the tailored experience on a customized landing page. That, of course, you cannot do that on TikTok, right? And then you create the demand, which is personalized, and then you personalize that experience to convert them as with the highest probability possible. So I think that's really the direction a lot of brands should go if they're really struggling to kind of stand out from other brands that are very generic, and give a unique experience. Yeah.
So right, yeah, I couldn't have said that better actually, because look, like we see that, and I've seen that with merchants that I worked with directly on TikTok Shop, right? So from day one, and like later on, once TikTok Shop was more established in the
Mm.
US and other parts of the world, you really can generate demand like through your TikTok Shop presence, right? Like whether these consumers buy it like
Yeah.
right then and there, but what we've seen is like they get aware of your products, whether they purchase
Hmm.
right then and then, but they come to Amazon, look for you, they come to your website, they browse
Exactly.
around. So I really see it as a great demand generation channel. And to your point, if we see, for example, if a user comes from an organic ad, or through an influencer, like with a product link attached to it, if they then land on your website, on your landing
Yeah.
page, and we provide them with a TikTok style scrolling experience,
Mm.
that doesn't take them out of the of that scroll mode and that
Yeah. Yeah.
image and heavy, and easy to digest information type of mode, that can lead to crazy improvements of conversion rates. If you
Yeah.
you know like really provide the solution right then and there in the right experience. So
Yeah, love it.
crazy
Awesome.
big opportunities.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot, and I think this gives a lot of insights that I think a lot of people can take and start kind of their journey into how this new way of shopping is gonna change the commerce ecosystem and embrace it. But Manuel, I want to thank you for being here. I guess for those that want to continue the conversation, maybe explore what you guys do, tell us more about where they can find you, so people can go there and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, please. I'm not just saying that, but feel free to reach out. Usually, I'm quick to respond. On LinkedIn is probably the best.
Yeah.
Manuel Prinz, like Prinz, like a zebra. You find me there, and check out keepconverting.ai. You can also get in touch with us there or book a demo to see what it could look like for your online presence.
Awesome, Manuel. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and see you on the next one. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Talk to you
Thank you.
soon.
Have a good one. Bye
Have
bye.
a good one. Bye bye.